This is 11 honors, and we are going to review the book quickly, and then you have a review you can do on your own. Again, I don't know what this we've done it so many times, but just want you to remember that at the end of chapter 9, page 58, that line, the red sun was placed in the sky like a wafer, that line represents what? I've reminded that Jim Conklin died, so what's the connection between the red sun and the wafer and Jim Conklin's death? You saw it on the movie yesterday. Can you make a connection there? He died for, not consciously, but he died for Henry. Remember, Henry ran, Jim stayed and fought and died. So and of course this event, that just proves that this event is the most important event in the book, because it's a redemptive moment or atoning moment where he atones for, he does what Henry could not do. And so that's why the reference to Christ here, because he was like dying for Henry. And he does begin to change. Chapter 10, I'm going to just go through this quickly. I'm going to give you a chapter title for each chapter. So we'll put the main idea. So chapter 10, Henry deserts the tattered man. That's the other thing that he cannot atone for. He can atone for running, and Jim does that by dying. But no one can atone for this, because he leaves the tattered man, that is Henry does, and the tattered man, we assume, dies because he was dying, and that stays with him until the last page of the book. And so there's some things we get do-overs, because Henry's going to get a do-over. We saw it, but he can't get a do-over for this guy. There's some things you'll never get to redo. You know, like you got to live with it for the rest of your life. Other things, okay, you get a second chance. We like those things, but we don't always get second chances, right? So he deserves it. Chapter 11. I titled Wandering the Battlefield. It's very important that you understand that Henry does not make a conscious decision to fight. He never makes that. He never makes a conscious decision to go back to his unit. All right? We're just doing a little review, and yeah, just let me have it. And that's the review, and we just work out a time for the other, right?
Okay.
All right, so just note that. He doesn't make a conscious decision. All right, so remember, what were his excuses for not going back? What's his reason for not going back? Not an excuse, but what's his reason? Why doesn't he want to go back to his unit?
It's a shame.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be made fun of. And he thinks of a lot of reasons why not to go, like no rifles and none of this stuff. But he recognizes those as excuses. But the important thing, he doesn't make a decision. Chapter 12 is the Red Badge of Courage chapter. This is when he gets his wound. Why is that important in the story? We're kind of going through the chapters again, just pointing out what's significant about each one. Why is that important that he gets a wound?
It's kind of all he wanted.
And why?
Because he felt like if he got hurt and he got the Red Badge of Courage, then like he would feel more like a hero, I guess. To know that like
Yes.
he fought,
And how would that make him look in front of his peers?
like respected.
Yeah. So this also redeems him in a way. This wound on the head, actually, like Jim's death, gives him a opportunity to go back. Now when he goes back, he can, look, I got shot, which was a lie. And who is this cheery soldier?
Wilson.
The cheery soldier is not Wilson. Do you remember the cheery soldier?
It's a guy that leads a
Well,
lot of battlefield.
and remember, didn't we look at it? It's like magic. Did we look at that? All right. So that's he's like a force, outside of Henry's control. And this is why you cannot argue that Henry made a decision to go back. He doesn't. He's taken back by this guy, all right? So that's why that's so important. Don't tell me that he decides to go back when he doesn't. All right, chapter 13, Henry returns, and the focus is really on Wilson has changed. What's different in Wilson? He's not the loud soldier anymore, he's the quiet soldier. So we're just kind of reviewing briefly, and I'll give you a review sheet. Did I give her one? Okay. All right. All right, chapter 13, that's what we're talking about. Chapter 14, more on Wilson. Wilson is, now what role do you think Wilson has in Henry's reunion with the unit? He's becoming an adult, he's becoming a hero. He's not a hero yet. What role do you think Wilson has? We've seen Jim's role, we've seen the cheery soldier's role. What do you think Wilson's role is? Why is Wilson's change of behavior, why might that have a positive effect on Henry? Like change him. He's certainly, you would rather have a nice friend than an angry friend, but how does it help him to change? I'm not sure I have an answer. I just think that's something worth thinking. All right, so he's wounded, but he's accepted back in the unit. All right, 15, this is when they begin to get back into battle again, but you can name Wilson's letters. And this is a reminder that Henry has not changed. Because remember, Henry wants to use the letters against Wilson. In the book, it was a watch. I mean, in the movie, remember it was a watch? But that's not what we have in the book. The book, there was it was letters. It just shows you that Henry has not changed. He's still guarding himself. He's still not completely, he's not honest. Okay, so that's chapter 15. Chapter 16, they are practically back on the line. So I put prelude to battle, day 2. This is the prelude. This is the battle takes place in chapter 17. But and we notice that the regiment is changing. They're no longer, they've only been fighting for a day, but they are a different group. They're more veteran. They're more used to the battle. All right, and so 17 is, I call Portrait of a Hero, because this is where Henry actually becomes a hero without seeking to become one. What is his motivation for becoming a hero? What motivates him to fight as well as he did? You remember?
Jim's death?
Yes, but there's more to it than that. You remember what it was? He's not thinking of Jim when they're attacking. He's not thinking of him. He's thinking of what? I mean, Jim certainly is a part of this, but what is he thinking of? In a way. All right, look on page 93. His friend says, if they keep on chasing us, they'll drive us into the river. The youth cried out savagely at this statement. He said he had a wild hate for the relentless foe and so forth. It was not well to drive men into final corners at those moments. They could all develop teeth and claws. What motivates him now is that he's getting tired of being pushed around. He wants to lie down and rest. He wants to sleep. He wants to eat. He doesn't want to get pushed around. These guys over there, they keep pushing him like it's almost personal. I'm tired of you pushing me around, and I'm going to fight back. He said when you push people too far, they will eventually fight back. So that's his immediate motivation for being a hero. He hates those guys, but not necessarily for killing Jim, but just for annoying the heck out of me. You won't let me get a break, and I don't like it. I'm going to put a stop to it, all right? And, of course, what direction does he actually physically move in this chapter? Which is the opposite of what he did yesterday, right? He ran away. Now he's actually advancing toward the enemy. How is he treated?
His regiment praises him.
Yes, at first they think he's sick, you know, are you okay, Henry? You know, we saw that in the movie. Look at page 97, the last sentence. A cloud of dark smoke as from smoldering ruins went up toward the sun, now bright and gay in the blue enameled sky. How does this picture of the sun differ from the sun was, the red sun was pasted in the sky like a wafer? How would you describe the difference between those two things? What?
He's like talking about the beauty of it.
That's right. Why is that appropriate for the setting what's happening in the book? We said the red sun was appropriate because it reminded us of the sacrifice of Jim and other soldiers. Here, you said did you say happy? No, beauty. There's beauty. Why is this appropriate? What did he just do? What has he just done? What did he just do? I mean, he became a hero. So why is now the sun, a beautiful sun in the blue sky?
They overcame his fear.
Right, it mirrors or it echoes his peace or his happiness now, his overcoming. All right, chapter 18 is, I write down mule drivers, because this is when he and what's his name? Wilson, thank you. All right, he and Wilson go get water, and he hears them call his unit mule drivers. Why is this recognized? Why does this point to a change in Henry? What's changing in him? But prior to his being a hero, what was his major concern? What's his major concern?
Become a hero.
Become a hero and what other people think of him. Now what is he concerned about? The guy didn't call Henry a mule driver. He called his regiment a mule driver.
That the people like his regiment's gonna be seen as weak.
And so now he's thinking of other people. He's not thinking of himself as a loner, as an individual. He's thinking of himself as part of this regiment. And that's part of, I think that's part of growing up. Not in an unhealthy sense. You know, when you're in middle school, you just cling together. You know, people just cling together out of insecurity, right? He's no longer insecure. He's secure. But now he thinks about what's the good, what is the good that for the larger group. It's not just what's good for him. You got that? All right, he's growing. That's 18. 19, they charge. So they charge twice. 19, if you want to label this, it's the charge. All right, and they charge, but what happens? In chapter, that's 19. 20, what happens when they charge?
Don't they retreat?
They retreat. How does he feel about it? He's ashamed. Yesterday he was ashamed that he ran. Today he's ashamed that they didn't run. They retreated but because of the orders. So it's different. But now you see his concern is for the larger group. How about 21? Turn there. 21. I wrote the veterans mock them. And this is another, they've been embarrassed. He's embarrassed that their unit didn't advance but retreated, and they're being mocked for it. So he's humiliated now, not personally, but as for his unit. All right, chapter 17. They were getting ready to charge again, if you want to put that. So this is preparation for a second charge. That's 17. And if we don't have time for this, but he is definitely growing up. Chapter 18, they charge, and this is one of my favorite. This is the second charge. This is one of my favorite lines. He says on page 123, this is chapter 18. I'm sorry,
I thought this was chapter 22.
it is. I'm looking at these Roman numerals and I'm seeing, I'm not figuring them out. It's page 122. He says this, he had no time for dissections, but he knew that he thought of the bullets only as a thing that could prevent him from reaching the place of his endeavor. So how does he's not afraid of dying anymore. He sees bullets not as something to be afraid of, but obstacles to be overcome. He doesn't want to get shot because if he gets shot, he can't kill the enemy. He's not afraid of dying and not afraid of hurting. He's afraid of losing. And when you feel like that, it's hard to get beaten if you refuse to lose, right? All right, that's 18. We're almost done here. 19 is the last, I'm sorry, still doing it. 24 is the last chapter, and this is the culmination of the book, just the last chapter. And 23 was the charge, 24 is the last. And I want you to turn to the last page. What does he do? What does he do with the tattered soldier, the memory of the tattered soldier? It says, second paragraph, yet gradually he mustered force to put the sin at a distance, and at last his eyes seemed to open to some new ways. He was gleeful when he discovered that he now despised them. That means his past. So what do you do with things that you cannot undo? What do you do with things you can't redo? Like some mistake you made in the past? What's a healthy way to deal with that? You don't get a redo. You got to live with it. What do?
Use it to motivate you.
Yeah. How would it motivate you?
Not
Maybe.
doing it again.
Exactly. But you just eventually got to live with it. I messed up. I was a failure. I got to live with that. But I'm not going to be a failure again. That's that sort of thing. And look at the last sentence of the book. Over the river, a golden ray of sun came through the host of leaden rain clouds. That's the third time we've seen the sun described. Why is that an appropriate ending for the book? Over the river, the golden ray of sun came through the host of leaden rain clouds. Tell me why that's like a perfect ending to this book.
It's like the sun's, you can like perfectly see the sun, and it's kind of like Henry finally, like, finally knows what he wants to do, and he's like not scared to do it, because like in the first one, he was kind of like just figuring it out, and he was like revengeful for it, so it wasn't like the clear sun, it was like the red.
And don't forget, also that represented Jim.
Yeah, and then the other one was, what was the other one? It was kind of like the sun was like bare, and you could, he was like kind of foreshadowing that he was like almost figuring it out, and then now it's like a full sun.
Yeah, and remember, he had just been a hero, so the sun is bright and the sky is blue. And now, what do you think the rain clouds represent? The sun is peeking through the rain clouds. What do the rain clouds represent?
His past.
Yeah, the challenge of the book, the challenge of his life. And this is a reminder that the sun overcame the clouds. You got it? All right. Perfect timing. Hello? Yes, thank you. Yes, it's you. I was gonna try to say, Aurora, you can leave now. You would have been really disappointed. Anyway, we hope you feel better. All right, so you have a few minutes, not much, 5. Can I just show you what I need for you to do? All right, we can spend some time Monday on this, but you need to study the notes as usual, and I mentioned specific things, so you need to actually define these. Go back to your notes, define naturalism, impressionism. I recorded some of that you missed for Delaney, maybe I recorded that. Still recording. All right, so you need to define those. Impressionism, naturalism, know what the themes, all this is in the background. All right, number 2, the chapter questions, know the plot, characters, themes of the novel. You notice, again, the theme of growing up, how that happened. There'll be some true false questions, some short answer questions. You're going to have to know who said these, the context, the speaker, and the meaning. Now, these are not all said, I mean, sometimes the narrator speaks, so he would be a legitimate speaker. So you need to know these. The test is on Thursday of next week. These quotes will be on there, so you need to start working on that, and Delaney, I'll grade this. I think we have 5 minutes. All right.